All right, Coach, we're back. You look enthusiastic. We're
What do you mean? What's going on? I'm always ready to go. Come on now.
You gotta bust your chops. For some reason, I have all this weird stuff going around on my green screen. I must not have enough light or something. I don't know.
It's all good. You don't really got to glow.
I don't have a glow, or I feel like I do have a
A
glow.
little bit. Not. I don't know. You're fine. I think you're good to go.
I should do what? Do you ever? What's the movie? You ever see Saving Sarah Marshall?
Yes.
Where the guy it's on the computer and he changes the background. That's
Blue.
like
Yeah.
he keeps changing the background for over and over again.
He's like surfing. I think one time.
Yeah, well, he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. That's what I'm going to do right now. I'm changing background. Here we go." All right, so yeah, like saving Sarah. Yeah, that's it. All right, well, we got a guest that we're going to bring on, Coach PJ Gibbs, defense coordinator, associate head coach of Golden Gate High School in Naples, Florida, one of your favorite places. And we're going to talk to him a lot of different things. His background as a coach is extensive. He was a Team USA coach as well, not just as a high school coach, but does a lot of different things. I think he has his own. I've seen some of his own stuff on like Cover 3 and different stuff like that. So pretty cool stuff. We're excited to bring him on. We'll bring him on right now. Coach Gibbs, how's it going?
What's up, guys? How are you?
Coach, good to see you. Appreciate you coming on. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries, man.
We gave a little intro about you. I think we did a little bit of justice to it, but I'd love for you to tell everybody a little more about your background in coaching. I know you come from Manasquan. We all live down here down the shore now. You're an original from the shore. Tell everybody how you got to where you are now.
Well, I mean, I got here. We moved down. We've been down here 8 years now. We moved down here in July of 2015. Like you said, born and raised in Manasquan, played for Coach Kaboo and coached for him, and had an opportunity to coach with a lot of great guys. That was DC for Joe Martucci at Matawan. Worked for George Najar at Sayreville. So to say my New Jersey experience, learning from 3 Hall of Fame head coaches was pretty extensive. And working for Jay Price, who was my linebacker coach in high school, and Pete Cahill, who was my DC in high school, and Don Reed, who worked for Coach, and a lot of the stuff that I've done in my career is attributed to all the lessons I learned from those guys. And I wouldn't be sitting here today if it wasn't for their belief in us, and I can't thank them enough for everything they've instilled in me. As a young guy coming out of St. Peter's College in Jersey City. And giving me an opportunity to student teach for Jay Price and work with the linebackers in 2001 and just kind of roll from there. And but we moved out of New Jersey, like I said, 8 years ago. I was hired at Gulf Coast High School, was a co-DC there, did linebackers and DBs, and won the first district title in the history of the school. So one thing down here is a lot of the schools are newer, right? So like Gulf Coast, when we came down in 15, was only built in 1998. And then after Gulf Coast, I went to Palmetto Ridge up the street, and you guys know Nick Citro, who played at Matawan, and Nick came down and did an unbelievable job for us as a co-DC and secondary coach. He's now at Immokalee High School as the OC and the DC at Immokalee. So yeah, you know what? If anybody can do it, it's Nick.
100%.
He's probably one of the most detailed guys that I know, and he'll be a head coach very, very soon someday. In the future, there's no doubt about it. So we were at Palmetto together. 2020, we had the number 1 defense in the area, giving up 6.9 points per game. We were number 1 in the area. We beat Naples High School, who I attribute to kind of like a Manasquan in a sense, as far as tradition and program. We were the first team in the county in 7 years to beat them, and the first team in 14 years to shut them out. So that was a pretty extensive accomplishment for our kids. And after that season, I went up to East Lee County High School as the head coach, and took over a program that hadn't won a game in 3 years and ended up winning 4, and we're very close to winning 6. And then we moved my kids' schools, so I was commuting an hour and 15 minutes from Naples each way. And once we switched schools, my wife was kind of like, listen, I kind of need you closer to home. So I reached out to the principal that originally hired me at Gulf Coast, was at Golden Gate, and I knew the head coach there. We had worked together for a year at Palmetto Ridge, and asked if there was a job opening, and Nick went to bat for me and gave me the defense, let me do the recruiting, and so this will be my second year there. And if we stay healthy this year, we're going to give a lot of teams on our schedule a lot of issues. So I'm really looking forward to that. And coach, like you said, I got the USA football stuff. I was a head coach for the U.S. national team for 2 years and Japanese team for 1. And that's kind of how this three safety system that I started in January came in to play, because we were very overmatched athletically and physically. So we're kind of looking for something that would fit the players' strengths, and reached out to my brother-in-law, who was at Missouri State at the time. He's an assistant O-line coach at Washington State now, and reached out to a couple guys at Iowa State to kind of learn the basics, and put it in 5 days and walked away with a 28-20 victory at AT&T Stadium with Rich Reed and Bob Gennarelli and Mike Galos on the sideline with me. So that was kind of full circle for me, because Coach Reed was my position coach at Manasquan, and obviously Coach Galos coached with Coach Cabu at Middletown North, and was with Coach Barnes at Wall for all those years. And Coach Gennarelli is still one of the best. I know he's I know he's in the admin role and doing what he does, but it was really cool to see those guys just kind of hang out and talk ball and exchanging stories, from back in the day. And it really puts things in perspective for you as a coach. So that's my story. Two great kids, 11 and 9, Peyton and Logan, and married to my wife for 14 years, Kristen.
Very cool. So did you move down there because of the job opportunity, or you decided you wanted to go to Florida?
We moved down. I mean, we had bought a house in 2010, and like anything in New Jersey, taxes never go down.
Yeah.
So we looked at expanding our house. We exhausted all avenues, Coach, to be honest with you. And I started looking in the Carolinas originally, because my wife is a Clemson alumni. So we were looking at North and South Carolina, and I got offered a couple jobs. And my brother-in-law, who's at Washington State, was an analyst at the University of Missouri for Coach Pinkel at the time. And he was helping recruiting Southwest Florida. So he called me one day and he said, "Hey, man, I don't know if you're looking to move, but there's 7 high schools down here, and they're dying for teachers and coaches. And our certificate has reciprocity down here." So I paid the $150 and got my Florida cert with my master's, because I have my master's in that leadership. And that was kind of it. And I put my resume out. My in-laws had bought a place down here in 2013. So we went down. I did 3 interviews, got offered 2 jobs, and came back to my in-laws' house. And I told my wife, I was like, "If you're ready to do this, it's going to move fast, because we got to sell the house, and we got to get all the I's dotted and the T's crossed." So that was kind of it. It was football is what got us down here.
That's incredibly cool. That's a great story. That really is a great story. Now I went online and looked at some of the stuff from like with your cover 3 defense and how you guys play it.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because you have a unique way that you're playing that defense that people may not be as familiar with. It's had a lot of success for you. Talk a little bit more about that.
Sure. So it's a 3 safety system. It's a lot of it is still the Manasquan roots, right? So we're still very gap control and gap sound and everything I was brought up in the 4-3. But the thing is, down here we see so much speed, and my thing's always been, I want to get as many athletes on the field as possible. We want to be fast and physical and running the football and be relentless. And Coach Brown up at UMass is a mentor of mine, and I've known Coach for 20 years. I remember him coming in to recruit Joe Mealy and Mike Mealy at Manasquan when he was at Northeastern and UMass, and that's kind of how we started. And then he has a house down here, so we get together, play golf, talk football. And so for me, Coach, to be honest, it's about getting speed and athleticism on the field, and it's numbers. It's really a numbers thing. It's like, for us, we see so much spread down here. We have one team that's a single wing team down here that we really just, kind of have to dig our heels in the ground and kind of go away from what we do, because they force you to do that, right? It's like facing the option. You got to kind of, change up what you do a little bit. But, to be like 4 over 3 in trips and 2-on-1 on the backside, and just creating a numbers thing where, you're forcing those coaches to hand the ball off that don't want to do that. They want to get the ball out on the perimeter to their athletes. And we're just like and one of the things we preach at Golden Gate is we're going to dictate to you, like as a defense. Like as an offensive coach, you're not going to dictate to me. I'm going to make you adjust and coach your kids and just not do what you want to do. And then we have this whole havoc rate thing that we got from Coach Brown, and the kids really buy into it. So from a schematic standpoint, we do a lot of things, a lot of simulated pressure stuff, but we're not like a zero out pressure team. We play a lot of trap. We play a lot of fire. We do a lot of fire zones, a lot of creep pressures, so a lot of things that I've learned, along the way. And one of the great things about living down here is we have so much access to college coaches, as far as like, hey, like I've been up to Florida twice in the last 6 weeks. I got a kid up there that I played with his cousin at Manasquan, and he's one of the linebackers there at UF. So go up and visit Derek every now and then, and had a good relationship with a lot of the coaches. And you got Miami's 90 minutes from us. USF is now, 2 hours. UCF is 3. Gainesville's 4. I mean, if you want to buck up and go to Tally, that's like 6. But we have so much at our fingertips here in Florida. It really helps, really helps us.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at Power 5 schools within, hours of driving distance, and you're not talking just any Power 5 school. You're talking places where, you're playing on, like you're on TV on Sundays where guys really want to go the highest of the high level, and in comparison to here, we can drive all those distances too. And then where are we going? We're going to Rutgers. We're going to Maryland, maybe Penn State, if you want to, Syracuse, I guess. So now line up those teams you just said, and then the ones I just said. And what do you like,
And outside of Rutgers, everybody's
what
far
are we
away.
looking at, really?
Yeah.
Outside of Rutgers, everybody's hours away. So
Yep. And we have a good relationship with the University of Michigan as well, with Chris Partridge being back there, and Ron Bellamy's a USA football buddy of mine. And, Chris and I have known each other since he was at Paramus, and Anthony Campanelli's down here. He's assistant DB coach with the Dolphins. So we got Jersey.
And he's survived 3 head coaching changes. So
Anthony's phenomenal. He's always great, getting back, texting. He's so busy with that stuff. But Jersey, we're everywhere. They can't stop us. We're everywhere.
No.
There's no doubt about it. It's interesting with the speed that you guys have to deal with in Florida, which is especially, I mean, obviously the Southeast, there's a ton of speed, but Florida in particular has a different level of speed. When you mentioned that you're trying to contain them, so are you trying to force them to run downhill more versus sideline to sideline if they're trying to incorporate their run game, and you corral them, or is it a type of thing by having those safeties playing off in that cover 3 where they're just able to rally to the ball because they can see more, they got more space to be able to maneuver? What is kind of the philosophy behind it?
Well, I mean, like anything, like I was saying before, like we're very gap sound. So even with our pressures, everybody has a gap. So we know if something pops, we know where somebody messed up. As far as, with our strength, with us being able to run, we want teams to go east and west. We don't want teams to go, north and south. But again, for us, we see inside, outside zone. We see a lot of gap scheme stuff. GT counter, power. We'll see some power read, some jet, sprint out, a little bit of drop back, out of the gun. But we're so attacking with our pressure packages and stuff. It's it puts our kids in a really good position to make a play. And that, like I said, with that havoc rate goal built in for our kids, they want to get the sack, they want to get the TFL, but they want to celebrate their teammates doing it too, so that's kind of the mantra that, we preach is like, hey, do your job, run to the football, and good things will happen. And don't try to do more than you're supposed to do, because when that happens, then you got 2 guys in the same gap and somebody's band is going to be playing and it's not going to be Golden Gates.
That's great. That's interesting. And your Team USA. So how did you get involved with Team USA? Which is from USA Football, I'm assuming, right? So,
Yes, sir.
how'd you get involved in that? And, kind of what were some of your experiences with doing that? What'd you learn?
So originally I got involved. One of our former players at Manasquan, Dan Gant, was working for USA Football, and they had just started these regional camps. Now they have since gotten rid of the tackle football program, which I'm not going to comment on because I'm not going to comment on it. So Danny reached out to actually Coach Price and I and said, hey, it was like 2000. Man, it had to be
probably around 2000, 2001, 2000, somewhere around there.
No, it was later. It was like 09, I think. I think it was that
closer to 10.
It was the year we lost to Mattawan. It was I was at Mattawan 06, 07, 08, and I started all those sophomores that were in 07. So the Jared Allisons, the Johnny Shorts, the Danny Clearys.
That whole
group played MacArthur Underwood. All those guys played defense for me as sophomores in 07 because that was after Citro had graduated in 06. And we just went young. And that team actually, those seniors in 09 won the state title, and I was at Manasquan as the D-line coach. I had left in 08. But I think it was the summer before the 09 season. Danny reached out and said, hey, we're going to do a regional at like Monroe High School. Would you be interested? They pay you like $250. They give you a shirt and you get to coach. I'm like, yeah, sure. So I did regional camps in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Maryland from 09 until I moved down to Florida. And then as we were sitting in our rental, my wife and I, because we rented the place before we bought our home, and I was checking my school email, and I got an email from Aaron Ingram. And Aaron Ingram was Colin Kaepernick's quarterback coach at Nevada. He's now the director of recruiting at Miami of Ohio. And it was, Coach Gibbs, we'd like to offer you a spot on the U15 national coaching staff for the defensive backs. And I'm like, wow. And cool. It's all expenses paid. They pay for you to fly. They give you a hotel room. They gear you up. And you're coaching the best. You're coaching kids that want to be there, like they're representing their country. So that's how the whole national team thing started. I was there 2016. I was with the U15 defensive backs. Then 17, I was the Japanese defensive backs coach.
And then, that must have been interesting.
Yeah, the Japanese experience was, I told, so 18, 19, I was the head coach for the U.S. team, and we beat Canada both those years. So 17 and 20 with the Japanese team, I worked with a bunch of guys from Texas in the 17. They're really, really good dudes. One of them was the DC at Allen High School, where Kyler Murray went. Really good guy. And then 2020, when Coach Ingram called me, I was actually at FAU with my daughter doing a clinic. That's when Lane Kiffin was still there. And he said, hey, would you want to do this? I said, yeah. I said, absolutely. He's like, well, and you get to pick your staff. I said, great. So I called up a bunch of guys, and I got Gennarelli and Galos and Reed, and LJ Clark was my DB coach from Lakewood. And then I got two guys from Florida, and I told them, I said, guys, listen, this will be the easiest week of your life as far as coaching comes, because we had sent the playbooks to them in November because they had a 12-hour plane ride, coming over from Japan in January. And I just told them, I said, listen, it's a culture thing, man. Like, these kids were like, so perfect example, complete difference. So we're in AT&T Stadium. It's the first drive. The kid misses a tackle, our rover, a middle safety, and he comes over. He's like, his name was Di. And he's like, Coach, so sorry. I'm like, dude, just be quiet. Just go back out there. Don't apologize. Just go out and make the play. They had brought 4 coaches from Japan over to learn from us and translate and stuff like that. And some of the kids did know English, and it's on YouTube. The game's on YouTube. It's, it's readily available if anybody wants to watch it. It's pretty, it was, my whole thing was, and, I'm a competitor. I want to win, but doing this as long as I have, this is one thing I told the coaching staff at the end of the game. And obviously for me, it's kind of surreal because here's Mike Galos, here's Rich Reed, here's Bob Gennarelli, guys that I looked up to, growing up. I said, what we just did was allow these kids to have this memory. They can tell their grandkids they flew to the United States and beat the U.S. at football in Cowboy Stadium. I said that to me surpassed anything for me personally. Winning was great, but to give those kids that memory that they'll take with them for the rest of their lives, that to me was paramount. That was awesome.
How big is football over there? I'm curious. Like, do they have high school teams in Japan, or how does it work there?
Yeah. So what they do is they have like it's weightlifting is optional. So it's not like down here where we have a class and the kids get a grade. And that was the first thing for me in Florida was like, do you guys get a grade for weightlifting? They're like, yep. So like we have first period weights for the JV team, seventh period weights for the varsity team, and they get a grade for that. It's crazy. So they do have high school teams. Canada's a little different. Canada has like club teams in different provinces. But yeah, they do have high school teams. And we had two of the kids actually were getting looked at by the University of Nevada while we were out there. The problem was at the time, before COVID, because that was 2 months before the world went, crazy. They don't take standardized tests over there. They don't take ACT or SAT. But now it's all different, with the optional stuff and everything. So
yeah, now it wouldn't matter, but that was a staple. You had to have that in order to get to any American college. So
so they do have high school football. It's just a weightlifting thing was like club, and they didn't take the standardized test. But yeah, it's they picked up on everything and they studied their butts off. Those kids knew everything. The preparation. Don't get me wrong, we had fun. It was during the playoffs, so we do watch parties for the playoff games, and it was. I'm sure you talk to LJ. He'll tell you it's one of the best times that he's ever had, as a coach.
That's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. I always was curious about that with like USA football. I knew a little bit about Canada because from running showcases of stuff. I've had Canadian kids come down. But I never understood really what Japan's system was, even though I knew that they played football. I just didn't know exactly how it worked. It's really, really, it's fascinating to me. Florida football, and I'm sure Coach D would like to talk a lot about this, and I'm sure you have a lot of viewpoints on it. Recruiting, the type of players you have down there. What is the environment like from a football standpoint with respect to recruiting, and then how is things like NIL affected, maybe your relationships with players or how everything works with recruiting with players?
Well, first and foremost, NIL in Florida for high school is not allowed, which is weird because it's Florida, right? So
right.
go figure.
You look at it, like, could you imagine? Like
it's legal in Jersey, but not in Florida. So I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
But as far as the recruiting aspect, we get a lot of foot traffic. With because we have the spring football. We have 19 practices and we play a game. So, that's right smack during the middle of the eval period, where coaches can come on campus. We had 57 schools in during the 19 spring practices, and we had a good spring. We had a lot of kids get offers. We had one of our 25 DBs picked up 6 in a week. It's just I think I worked it out to a Florida, Georgia, Texas, California football player, high school football player will get an average of 1,500 more meaningful reps than someone in a non-spring ball state. If you break down like practice reps and things like that,
just by having those extra practices,
just by having spring ball. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. And it's, it's something where, for the kids, the coaches can come to practice. Like I never, we had one practice we had Iowa State, Pitt, Illinois, NC State, UMass, FIU, and Florida State all there watching somebody, and that's a lot better for them because they see the tape, but then they want to see the kid. So that's where I think, Coach, it's a different because when I was at Manasquan or Matawan, they'd come in the eval period and it's like, well, here's this kid. All right, well, I've watched this film, but it's not like you're going to walk out and watch them in an individual drill or tackling drill or 7-on-7 or something like that. So that I think has a distinct advantage. And you guys have been doing this a long time. If there's a kid that's an absolute dude, they don't need to see him practice. They know the kids.
Right. He's got it. So in Jersey now, so we can That's just like such a difference. You talk about the numbers and the amount of time and reps and everything. Like when you look at it here now, yeah, we're allowed to set those up throughout the spring, but it's not we're not running through practice, right? We're there and it's optional, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they'll tell you we can bring all the kids, but it's only a couple days. You get like maybe 4 in the entire spring period. And who's running track, who's doing this, who's doing that. It's not hey, I want to see this guy come. And listen, you mentioned all those schools, and then the difference is with me at SJV, it's William Patterson, it's Montclair State, it's Keene, right? We're talking Division III programs in comparison to what you're working with when you got all your big time Division I schools.
Yeah,
with more opportunities to see guys because you have just more practices.
Well, I really wish, to be honest with you, see, the thing is, we have one Division II school, which is West Florida, and then everything else is NAIA. So
everything is either tops of the tops, or
like I really, and
you had D3s and D2s.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, I call Danny Garrett every year, because I'm like, hey, I got this kid, and he's like, Coach, it's going to cost this, and because I just wish there was that Division III. I mean, we have some in Georgia. But I just wish that they would just, some of these schools would just buy into that D3 mentality, because I think that's one of the advantages that you guys have over us is we have a majority. I mean, you guys know, majority of those kids in our program. Yeah, we have the kid with the 16 offers and kid with the 5 offers and this, that, the other thing. But the most of my defense is D2, D3. And they don't have that D3 option. Like I had 2 kids when I coached at Gulf Coast, went and played all 4 years at Albright. Went to Albright, went up, and I can never forget this. Ryan Rogers comes into my classroom. He's like, Coach, I'm going to commit to Albright. I get, okay. I said, Ryan, have you been to Reading, Pennsylvania? I was like, have you been around, what? No. I said, well, you better get on a plane, drive around. I said, because you're going to spend the next 4 to 5 years of your life there, buddy. You can't just say I'm going to Reading, Pennsylvania, So we had 2 kids go, a corner and the linebacker, and they did really well up there. But yeah, Coach, that would be one thing I would say. I really wish they would embrace that, down here and just kind of add some of those programs.
Do kids not play football if basically they don't get to one of those bigger programs? Is that what happens? So they don't go on and play college football down in Florida? So is it a situation where most of the kids are basically like a scholarship kid or a D2 kid or nothing? Is that kind of how it works?
No, I mean, we have the NAIAs do a really good job. Like Kaiser, Coach Socia at Kaiser. I mean, they played in the national championship game last year, NAIA. So, and they have huge support. We're really, really close with their staff. Weber University, which is in Lakeland, Florida. Coach Speakman is recruited everywhere I've been. He's been the Collier County guy, so I've built a really good relationship with him. Southeastern's had some turnover, up there, up in Lakeland as well. And then we have St. Thomas over in Miami. So we do have other options for kids, and then we do get the Ohio schools that come down, like Mountain Union comes down. I've gotten really close with Don Beebe, who's at Aurora. And they come down because we have this recruiting fair every year at Cape Coral High School. So that's where all the D3s from like the Midwest and the Northeast will come down. And the kids they do a really good job. What they do is, so it's usually a Tuesday, Wednesday. So the coaches, so myself and our head coach will go and we'll have a Golden Gate table. And the college guys will come and say, hey, our baseline GPA is this. We're looking for this position, X, Y, Z. All right, and we do these edits. So if you look at my social media, we have the edits for the kids with the QR codes on them, basically like their business cards. So we get Vistaprint to do a whole bunch, and we pass them out to the coaches or whatever. So then what happens is each kid that signed up for the recruiting fair gets an index card with their name on it, and then the colleges write Aurora University, Mount Union University, Kaiser. So now the kids come the next day, we give them their index cards. Now the colleges have the tables. Then they go to those colleges that have written down. They can visit every table if they want to, but I tell them the guys that put their name on that index card, you got to go there first. And then they talk to the coach and meet the coach and talk, logistics and distance and financial aid and can you get in and this all that stuff. So that's one thing I I like that we do down here. And again, I'm 8 years removed from Jersey, so I'm sure you guys, they have something up there kind of similar to that.
Yeah, very similar. They do it at they do one at Monmouth Regional where, you know, it's
Okay.
mostly D3 schools. They'll set up their tables, kids can
Yep.
go and kind of do their thing. Yeah. Yeah, we do it. Like I said, it's just there's more of them around here, right? You got your D2 Pennsylvanias, like your Bloomsburgs, your East Stroudsburgs, you know what I'm saying? But you understand, like, it's also, I also look at it another way. It's like, you know, down in Florida, it's like, if I don't get a scholarship, it's it, you know what I mean? Or the schools that are just in Florida itself are national schools where that's my option, right? Like that's where I gotta go. They don't have the Montclair, the Keene, the Rowans, the Albright, like that stuff doesn't exist. So it's kind of, I mean, look, there's not even a Monmouth University or a Stony Brook University down there, right? No. It's 1A or that's it.
I'm trying to get our 25 running back up to Monmouth. I've been pressuring Coach Gallo a lot, you know, to have him come down and look into Trayvon's. He broke the school record as a sophomore. He rushed for 1,700 yards. And we took him out of 3 games. We were up. You know, he should have rushed for 2,000. And you know, he improved. He's 11.3 in the 100. He'll probably be a 10.8 or a 10.9 kid when it's all said and done. So, you know, and they're very similar to us schematically. So when I was up, when I went back to visit my grandmother and my mom at the end of June, I went up and met with Jeff and Coach Neal and Coach Gabriel and Coach Roberson and my guy, Coach Kevin Callahan, young Kevin, who we coached at Manasquan, and he was doing good servant work. He had the kids running, but I always like to you know, see the old Squan guys. I stopped down and saw Neil Sterling when I was in Jacksonville, and Neil's retired, opening up a gym with his wife in Jacksonville. They got 2 great kids.
Yeah, he had a great career.
Oh, let me tell you, that kid. I show when we beat Rumson in the 09 semifinals, when he tipped the ball to himself in cover 3 and went 40 for a touchdown at the end of the game. I said, you guys want to know how to play an out in cover 3? I said, watch this kid. You
That's how you do it right here, buddy.
Yep. So, but yeah, like I said, I tell all our guys, like, if you guys understand that it's a job, it's a commitment. Like, not only is your academics a job, so is playing football at any level. And I said, there's a place for everybody. Like, one thing we have Stetson University down here, which is the Pioneer League. So it's real high academics. So we have 2 kids that they're looking at that they're Pell Grant kids, but they're very good students. So that kind of meshes well with what they're looking for. A former Raritan player is the O-line coach now. So he was down recruiting, and he's like, Coach, I played against you in 09 and coached against you in 10. I said, well, I'm sorry to hear that. No, actually, we were 1-1 against each other because 09 we beat him for the conference, and then 10 we opened the season, we lost to him. But and then we have like a kid that's going to end up going to Wheaton College in Illinois. He's like a 4.8 GPA, and it's a Christ-centered. He very into his church, very high academics. So Coach Hawley, the running backs coach, is like, what do you think? I go, Coach, this is tailor-made for this kid. He loves school, loves to go to church, loves football, and he's a full Pell Grant kid too. So he'll go probably for nothing, you know, when it's all said and done. So it's guys, you know, at the end of the day, it's about getting kids to opportunities, and when you get them their opportunities, like, you're there to help them, but it's their journey, right? So if you make a mistake, that's okay. You're going to learn from it. It's adversity, everything we kind of taught you playing football. And, you know, I'm happy to help as many kids as I can, you know, and, you know, with our team.
Well, one of the things that's really, really interesting that you spoke about a little bit earlier too, was how the number of practice days you guys have in the states of, you know, Florida, Georgia, Texas, and South Carolina?
California.
California, because the spring ball is so much more. It's interesting because those 4 states represent like 80% of the Division I scholarships too. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if I'm sure no one has done a study on this, but I wonder if there's a correlation between, just from a rep standpoint, and obviously obviously football is important in those 4 states too, right? And they're huge states other than Georgia. Georgia's not a huge state, but those 4 states are big states too. That obviously has something to do with it. But there has to be some level of correlation between the fact that you're getting extra reps and in your development. I remember when I was an assistant at Riverdale and we won the state championship. And one of the things that the head coach, he's still there, DJ Nymphius, he used to say to me, he said, making the playoffs and going to the state championship, win, lose, or draw, is so important, not because of, us being a great team, but because we get an extra 5 weeks of practice.
Mm-hmm.
And not only do our kids that are playing in the state championship get extra 5 weeks of practice, but all the JV kids and the freshman kids we bring up, those kids are also getting 5 weeks of practice and 5 more weeks of reps. So over the course of 4 years, they're getting a full year more of practice than every other kid in this that doesn't make the state championship, from other schools.
Sure.
And I thought that always stuck with me. And when hearing you say that, it's like, obviously reps, there's a correlation to your development. If you're getting over the course of 4 years, a year's worth more of reps versus another person, even if those reps aren't live, right? Just reps running around. It's just, it definitely helps from someone's development standpoint. And when college coaches are coming in, all that combined with it certainly really helps to develop the overall player over time there. I don't know. I just kind of thought that came to me. I'm just curious what you thought about that.
Yeah, no, I think it definitely has, some sort of, definitely like something has to do, where there's smoke, there's fire, right? So like something has to, correlate with that, but I still say the best high school football player I've ever coached against is Quentin Nelson. I don't care what state he's in. That guy was a freaking animal. He's a monster. I tell the kids all the time, I'm like, I remember going to see them play basketball against Manasquan and RBC, and he's standing under the basketball, under the hoop, and just jumps up and dunks the ball at 6, whatever he was, 275. And I was like, man. And then he came out and just whooped our butt, in that 13 season, in our place. But yeah, no, I definitely think so. I mean, if we make it to the state finals, we're playing 15 games, and as funny you mentioned that, coach, is that I can remember us getting ready to play Somerville in '94 when I was a sophomore, and we were playing them in Giant Stadium, and we're sitting there stretching. And I remember Coach Don Reed, who was his last year as a DC. He's like, you realize there's only 3 teams in the shore practicing right now. It was like us, Neptune, and somebody else. And that always stuck with me. Like for us down here, the goal is to practice on Thanksgiving Day, because that means you're playing in the regional final that next Friday. So I've done it once. Palmetto, we lost in the regional final in 2020, but hoping to be watching Manasquan beat Wall on Thursday after practice and getting a turkey ready on the smoker, and then head out and win a regional championship this year.
Very cool. Very cool. Coach, Coach D, you got any other questions for Coach?
Coach, just real quick, we had Mike Smith on from American Heritage. He's originally a Jersey guy, and I have a great relationship with him since he was coached me when I was in high school, and then just kind of stayed suit with it. And one of the things he talked about, obviously, and you've already brought it up first, was just the amount of speed in the state itself. So in comparison, think about all your time in the shore, right? We always look at the shore, and it's kind of hard-nosed, blue-collar, run the ball. Maybe we'll throw if it's third and whatever. How was that adjustment for you going from that type, seeing that, to seeing, well, now I'm in Florida and wow, this is different? Yeah,
it's there's definitely a learning curve, when I first came down here, because, I could remember, coaching and getting ready for Jared Allison and MacArthur Underwood, getting ready to play against Bennett Jackson, and then early on in my career, going from Manasquan, the year in 2001 when we won it, and then going to Sayreville, and just being, exposed to a whole different part of the state, which I never really had, up in Middlesex County, and, the amount of athletes we had up there, with the Junior Jabby ended up going to Notre Dame, and
it's amazing how different those couple exits on that parkway, bro. It changes, man, a lot. So now you're looking at us coming from North Jersey, coming down here. It was like, whoa.
Yeah, no,
I can only imagine the transition from where you were to there.
Yeah, it was. It took a while. I mean, Collier County, we have Immokalee where Nick's at. Traditionally has a lot of good athletes, and Nick does a great job, utilizing them. And then we get into like Naples. Like last year, the year before the 21 season when I was at East, I think Naples beat Golden Gate like 59-0, and then last year we were tied 7-7 at halftime. But they had a running back going to Arkansas and a running back going to NC State. And on our defense, we didn't have anybody that was close to that. So when those guys got those one-on-one matchups, they were Power 5 running backs. And we ended up, I think, losing like 31-21, something like whatever it was. But yeah, every week it's like we open up with Winter Haven in our kickoff game, and they got they have a 6'3", 220-pound 3-star tight end. And then they have 2 little quick slots, and it's something where like you always have to know where their dudes are, but there's also in the back of your mind, you're going, well, that kid over there is not a dude, but that guy could take the ball and go pretty far, with it. So there's always something. You never go into a week saying, this we'll be okay just playing this and whatever. And then you got to get ready for the single wing, which is like with high school kids, it's like getting ready for the freaking option. It's like
we see it. Heights had to see it every year with Homedale. So
I mean, one thing I tell our kids all the time, this is something that Coach Kabu always told us when we wanted to get into his coaching. He's like, understand when you put your livelihood in the hands of 16 and 17-year-olds, you're going to drive yourself absolutely bonkers. So that sticks in the back of my mind all the time.
That's
and, I mean, we're in a really good spot. I'm really excited for this season. We got a lot of kids that are bagging 90% of the defense back from last year. That the year before I got there, they were giving up 31, and we cut that to 17 in a year. So I'm really looking forward to our guys. They're working hard in the weight room. Every day, and just building that bond and that camaraderie. And I still do my Wednesday night dinners, same thing I did when Coach Price started it in 1995. Everywhere I've gone, I've always done the Wednesday night dinners with the defense. And you can take me out of Jersey, but you can't take the Jersey out of me. So it's always here.
It's great, Coach. Well, you're in a great spot because I've been there. I've interviewed there back in 2013, and amazing looking school. Great, facility wise, great school. I know it's a great spot. So, Coach, I appreciate you coming on. I really thank you for everything in terms of just the input and just giving us a different perspective on certain things and seeing how things are. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, well. It's Florida in the summer, so anytime after noon the thunderstorms kick in. So it's always indoor activity. Yeah.
Where can people find you? Because I know you have your stuff online. I see your handle. Just let everybody know where they can find you.
Yeah. So I mean, the Twitter is probably easiest, Coach. And then the system, the 3 safety system. I have a website. It's thefbcoachgibbs.com. But that's also. And then I have a Twitter handle for the defense. It's @GibbsDefense. And again, my July's been nuts. I've been up to White Plains, New York. I've been to Waukegan, Illinois. I've been up to Gainesville, helping out Ernest Graham up there with his guys, and doing Zooms with coaches. And it's been really, really neat to get a lot of the feedback and questions, and just. We're all here to help, at the end of the day. I mean, I don't mind giving my stuff out because people got to stop it. That's my feeling. I'll give you the playbook. You got to stop it, but no, it's been really, really neat.
Plus, I'm sure you got a few tricks up your sleeve too. So
always gotta have a few.
You give the playbook, but there's always a couple that
the master still has the master still has it. That's it.
Up the sleeve. You're good.
Well, Coach, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it, and we're definitely going to be following you down the road, and we look forward to seeing everything in the season. And good luck. I'm sure camp's coming up soon. So
July 31st, day 1. So we'll be ready to hit it. First game, August 18th.
Woo!
Must be nice.
It is. Listen, and that's one thing, getting used to like Friday nights. Because we were always Saturday afternoons.
Yeah.
So that was we go scout on Friday nights, and
it's different playing on Fridays.
Yeah, everybody's playing Friday, so like you don't get the
whole
eye test, right?
Your whole schedule changes your entire week, how you prepare.
It has
everything
to.
you got to go through because it's
you look at the you look at the max preps and it says, well, this kid's 6'4", and I used to like to go watch. I'm like, that kid's 6'1",
right.
He's not 6'4", you know. And then we start so early, we actually get out, we end school.
We talk about this all the time. Schedule
before we get out Memorial Day Friday.
Yeah, you're out for like a month before my guys are even. And listen, my guys are out early anyway because it's private school, right? So that in itself, you're more on this college routine, the college schedule where that guy can go like that. I mean, listen, we see it all the time. That's the way. And we've even started early, right? We'll play week 0, which is August 20, whatever. I mean, you're still a week ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, no doubt. It took a little to get used to, but year 8, I think we're okay now.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Coach, for coming on, and we'll see you real soon.
Appreciate
I appreciate you guys.
Again, buddy.
Thanks,
very
Coach.
Much.
Bye.
See you later.
That was great. That was great stuff from Coach, and I have to check out his Cover 3 system.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to look at any of that stuff?
Yeah, I just don't think it's just too much. Like people just run the ball too much here.
Oh, they do. Okay.
I mean, it's a look. I'm everything. Like if I saw as much shred as he did, it would definitely be something I would look at, right? Because it's like he said, you want your best athletes on the field. Most times your athletes are more athletic, faster, can run and cover and do that type of stuff, But when you see the stuff that we see where, tight ends, 2 running backs, 22 person, you know what I mean? You're seeing more bigger guys that are going to push you around. Now you still need the big dogs up front, right? You need that 4-3 or those extra linebackers on the field. So it's definitely interesting to look at. And from his perspective, knowing what he plays against and seeing that, it's definitely something that's probably worked for him. And that's why he uses it. And now, I mean, look, he's created a market, right? Like he just talked about. I've been in White Plains, New York. I've been over here. Guys are calling him saying, "Hey, can you come and clinic us on this 3 safety defense?"
Very cool stuff. Very cool stuff. I always love hearing Florida perspective on speed and all the things that go on from that standpoint.
Also, just getting a perspective, like a comparison, right? Like he was a high level. He coached at the highest level of shore conference schools that there could be when they were at their peaks, right? And now, hey, compare that to where you are now. You heard him. It's a totally different.
I think there's also, I mean, this is a bigger thing. When he touched about how much practice they get and
the rep number he threw out was insane.
That's
insane. Crazy.
Yeah, that was definitely,
and it
that
was
crazy. And then, we're not even talking about. And I would have loved to dive into it, but I didn't want to ask after he had mentioned it. But like USA football doesn't have a Team USA.
Yeah, he didn't see. Yeah, I guess it was like a post-COVID type of thing. Like, should we bring it back? Should we not bring it back? And then they just said it.
Well, the NFL has also become big in pushing.
They're trying to
flag.
They're trying to hit that market. Yeah, NFL flag in comparison. It used to be push USA football. Now it's let's go to the flag. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, an NFL flag,
and that had to be a cool experience.
Yeah. Now is NFL. I have to look. I'm not sure. NFL flag is not with USA football, right?
No, it has nothing to do with it. I don't think.
Because originally NFL had invested in that Team USA.
And then they probably went, hey, we want to go this way.
Yeah, let's go for flag.
Remember the concussion thing. Concussion came out and everything, and it was, what are we going to do to protect our kids and all that kind of stuff. So, and
that's fascinating.
The school that he's at, man, they have talk about facilities.
We're nice. Oh, okay.
Gorgeous. It's like a full, campus, right? Like, hey, this is a campus. Like, they got a pond on the campus. It's Golden Gate High School. It's gorgeous.
Oh, wow. Jesus.
Yeah, man. Like,
what? Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's a little different than up here.
Oh, my God.
But listen, you heard I think his story is amazing, right?
That place is beautiful. Oh, they got, is that pickleball courts in their other high school campus?
Wouldn't doubt it.
Oh, wow. That place is.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Yeah, and it's like, I don't know. When I interviewed there, I got a gourmet lunch from because that's what they do. Like they have a really good, like, I guess, like, I don't know, what is it, culinary program within the school. So they each day lunch is like gourmet status. So I had some good pasta down there. I'll take that much.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's great. I just love his story of like why look, he was coaching at a high level here. He could have probably taken head coaching jobs at a lot of schools down here that would have been very, very respectful jobs. And he said, you know what, I want to make this move and head down. And he's been at a couple schools down there too.
Yep.
You know, the other guy he's talking about, Nicky Citro, great kid. I know him because he was an assistant at Montclair after I graduated for a couple years. He's a sure guy. He went down there, and now he's coaching and has taken over some of these programs. They coached together for a year, and now they've kind of broken off and done their own thing. But he's an amazing coach, too. He was really good when he was at Montclair and played in the Shore. So he's down there. You know, I mean, look, it's a nice area to be in, but you saw him, like, he talked about a lot of the same stuff that Mike did at Heritage, right? I see speed all over the place, you know, and the colleges that are coming in and out and the access that they have. I thought that was interesting too. The amount of access that he has to all of those schools, and he can go stop in, talk to those guys anytime they want. I think that's amazing. Whereas, you know, here we have one option in state, they have 6.
There's a huge difference between that. It can't, like, these, you know, what do they say, cart before the horse thing. I just believe that all this stuff builds upon itself, and over many years, things pull away because of the way the system is, right? So it maybe didn't start out where.
No, but some things take time to develop, and then you ultimately see what it's really about. You know what I mean?
That's how Georgia gets better and better
every time.
Florida, Texas, California,
especially name the states that were in that. It's all the ones we talked about.
And then, yeah, it's interesting. And in the Northeast, where things have become, the only way I could put it is de-emphasized. That's the only way. I'm talking about football. I'm not talking about anything else. I'm talking about football.
It's not what it is there.
It's how could a college team in the North? I mean, Ohio State's the closest because they still have some level, and a Michigan maybe, you know, interchangeable. But outside of those two, does any northern school even remotely have a chance? No way. I mean, even those schools probably don't even remotely have a chance. But how could they? They're not going to get enough speed, you know.
It's just tough, man. It's just hard.
You know, you're asking 30 kids to move hundreds and hundreds of miles away. Over time, that doesn't happen. It's just not. You know,
they just don't do that. Most people, I read a statistic one time, and most people, I think it was like 77% of people never move further than 13 miles away from where they grew up.
Yeah. So that's
on average.
Right.
Nobody likes to leave, right? Nobody goes away. Everybody wants to stay what they
were. Right? I guess you're comfortable.
I guess. But I'll tell you what, that's
amazing.
I know it's gorgeous, right? Yeah.
I might move right now.
Yeah, well,
it just so my kid goes to a school like this. Jeez.
Yeah, and that's a public school.
That's a public school looking like that. Oh my goodness. Well, anyway, I'm getting. I should show everybody what I'm looking at. I guess maybe just before I go, just so they can see what I'm wowing over a school. You know,
they got good colors, man. They're like, they're gold, they're black and gold, like a real gold. So they get after it.
I'll just show it quick before we go. Is it showing here? Yeah, there it
is. Yes, it is. That's right there.
That's you could barely in the right corner see the stadium. There's a whole campus beyond that. Let me see if I can find it.
Oh yeah, the foyer walking in is pretty hard. Yeah, they're the Titans, I think.
There you go.
Not bad.
I love how look. All right, as a track guy, you know what I think is the coolest thing?
The corners.
So these in the 4x1, these are the zones that you must hand the baton within.
Oh, okay. See, I wouldn't have known that.
In the relay, so they actually have it highlighted all the way through, so there's no mistaking it. I mean, It's mind blowing.
I've never seen that, and that's
I've
something that's like high
Never
level
seen
track.
that.
Oh, you've never seen it?
Never seen that.
But that's how you know, like, they care.
They care.
Like, that track coach was at every Board of Ed meeting to make sure that when that track went down, that got painted.
Or someone came up with the idea.
Or maybe he was like, yeah, who knows? Maybe that's something we should. Maybe we could follow up on that. Be like, well, dude, we just want you to know that this track idea is like crazy. That's like
I bet you they have like some probably big meets there because that
would just be beneficial to any track person, correct?
Yeah, it's unique. I mean, the stadium looks great too, but yeah. So that's mine. Like, all right, we'll let everybody go on this. Almost jumped the gun there, but this was great. That was a great podcast, and you know,
I just figured he had a lot that relates to kind of what we're talking about, right? And then, you know, I mean, look, he came from here, he went to there. That's one thing, right? He's down there now, so compare that school to what Mike has over at Heritage, and then, you know, he's got a free
people are everywhere.
He said it. He goes, bro, you know how many people are down? You know, Dino's down there from Modern Day now. He's down there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Coaching or just living?
No, coaching.
He's
he's got a team down there or something.
Shannon
was telling me the other day because he's like tight with him. So
yeah. Right. Of course, I was his line coach. Perfect. All right. Till next time. We'll see you guys soon.